Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the channel, Polar Plant Parent, and I want to show you in a quick little video some things that have been happening in the plant parent household. We got some stuff happening. I do have a little bit of bad news from my previous video with the Hoya that I had, that little peduncle, Quinquenervia. It didn't make it. It blasted. The entire peduncle just dried up and fell off, and stuff like that happens sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So it makes me sad, but at the same time it gives me fuel to keep moving forward and get a bloom out of that plant. But anyway, we're not talking about that today. I just wanted to let that be known. But I have a bunch of plants here with some cool things that are going on. First of all, I want to show you this. Now, I had no experience with this. This is Peperomia incana. This peperomia has fuzzy, soft, furry leaves that are really, really nice, like silky. And you can see you can see the hairs on them a little bit, right? Anyway, this plant I had put into acrylic because a lot of peperomia in my environment here don't do well in soil. They just kind of start dying back. They get like root rot or something. They start dying from the tip, so that whenever a plant dies from the tip, under normal circumstances, I'd say I can attribute that to a root issue, like root rot or something's going on with the roots. So put this one in acrylic, and sure enough, it's doing great. And it's been in here for a while. It even has the the Nutricoat fertilizer, as you can see on the top there. But I got roots finally that are visible because I hadn't been able to see any roots for a while. I just kept watering it and kept it in the window. And you can see it's a little dry. There's some condensation there. I got to water this now, but I just want to show you we got rootage. So this plant is definitely a hardy variety, a hardy species. I'd say more hardy than a lot of other peperomia from my own experience, only because some peperomia can be a challenge. You know what I mean? Like this is really, really, and I love how soft the leaves are. It's just unlike anything else. It's even, well, I don't want to say it's softer than the baby bunny bellies Tradescantia, but it definitely rivals the softness of that plant. I'm excited for this to grow bigger now that I know that it has established itself and it is actually thriving. We've got new leaves coming out and everything. So I'm excited about that. So that's the first thing I want to show you guys. And I'm gonna keep this one in acrylic just so that you can see its progress. And I'm very happy that it is thriving because again, even though peperomia are pretty easy indoor plants, certain situations, they don't do well. Yeah, so that is incana here, the peperomia incana. Let's move to some of these bromeliads, okay? I put these bromeliads, this is Tiger Cub, and I have one that's, I don't like the name of it, but it's called Midget. I don't like it, but that's what it's called. So what am I gonna do? Rename it? Maybe. But anyway, I put these in acrylic as well because I just figured it would be easier. And right away I started to see roots growing. Let's see if I can find any in this one. You can see a couple here, but that's not the reason why I'm showing you this. I wanted to show you this because it's obviously happy enough to send up a nice huge pup out of nowhere. This was just a single plant when I potted it up, and now we've got a nice sized pup here. Very excited about that, and I'm even more excited because this other one that does have a lot of roots did the same thing. So here are the roots. You can see this one really took off root-wise. It's going nuts in there. And we've got a pup. And that's very exciting. And once the pups start like peeking through, they really take over. Like they grow pretty quickly. I'm surprised. I gotta water these guys. There's just condensation, not a lot of moisture in here, but I'm gonna water them. I always put water in the cup as well, so it's all dried out now. But I just think it's really, really cool how they've been able to acclimate to the acrylic and they're thriving and multiplying. So very, very exciting there. I'll put them back now. So yeah, if you have any questions about growing bromeliads in particular in acrylic, let's talk about it because this was an experiment because I know that a lot of plants do well in acrylic, but I didn't realize that these would do this well. We've got new leaves and then we've got the pups and the roots. So very exciting there. All right, moving on. Staying with bromeliads, this is one of my earth stars, my Cryptanthus, and it actually started to bloom, but then the blooms dried up for some reason, but it didn't stop it from pupping. So we have 2 pups, potentially more on the way. I'm just looking to see if I see any. I don't see any yet, but that's exciting because anytime you see them pupping, you know that you can get more plants. So I'm excited. Anytime I have more plants, the more the better. Just keep bringing me plants. Let me calm down a little bit. So yeah, this is Cryptanthus, the Earth Star. Don't know the variety. Let's see if it's listed here. It's just called a red Cryptanthus Red Star. I don't know if that's an actual legitimate name, but that's what's on the tag. And when it was in full sun, the leaves were very bright red. All of the leaves are red. Now this is under a grow light, but not directly under it. It's kind of off to the side. So it doesn't have the same color, but it isn't stopping it from thriving and pupping. So I love when plants give me babies. All right, so we'll put this one back. Very easy to take care of. I just keep the soil damp because this is in a little tiny soil pot of soil. So I keep the soil damp and that's it. And just kind of close to the light. If I wanted it to color up and get bright red, I would put it in more direct view of the light, like right under the light. But I'm fine with this the way it is. I kind of like the mixture of colors because when it's all red, it looks pretty, but then it kind of gets boring. You know what I mean? I like a variegation like this. So that's cool. Next up, this is just something I want to show you. There really isn't too much going on with this one, but this is a Haworthia. If you know me, I love Haworthias, and this actually is a Haworthiopsis, if you want to get technical. Haworthia have the windows, Haworthiopsis have more like the aloe type leaves. So this is a Haworthiopsis, and I just stuck this in a pon, or it's like a pon type mixture. It's not completely pon, but it's like a gritty mix that I use like pon. And the plants love it. Like, the only other time I've seen Haworthia do well like this is when they're in moss. They just really, really enjoy it. If you have a little bit, like a little pot of moss, they go crazy. And I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just think this is really cool. It's established itself really nicely root-wise. And I'm just gonna keep it in here as long as I can. I'm waiting for pups because this one doesn't have any pups. And under normal circumstances, and not 100% of the time, but Haworthiopsis and Haworthia pup very readily. So this one hasn't yet. I could always chop the top off and make a new plant that way, but I'm gonna keep this growing as it is. Maybe it'll turn into like a little tree. I have one that is a little tree, so why not, right? But anyway, growing Haworthia, Haworthiopsis in gritty pond type mixes and in moss is totally fine. They do great. Okay, let's move on because there's really nothing exciting about that except that I love it. Here we have now a bunch of Haworthia. They didn't come named. This one still has a lot of moisture at the bottom. I just watered this yesterday, but I wanted to show you what happened. Oh, this leaf fell off. I'm gonna propagate this leaf because I've been able to do that before. This is kind of dehydrated, so it may not work, but it's worth a shot. This plant was severely neglected. I put it into a wrap. This isn't really technically a Cocama. The plants that I'm going to show you, the succulents that I have wrapped, are not really Cocama per se, if you go by the definition. They're more just like a moss wrap with a yarn tie. You know what I mean? Like this one isn't moss though. This, I just took the plant out with the soil and I wrapped it with the yarn. And you can see it wasn't doing well for a while. It was just a single plant, but look at all these babies now. We've got a whole bunch of babies sprouting from the sides, and that gets me excited. I'm not gonna separate these guys. I'm gonna let it grow into a huge cluster coming out from a little tiny root ball like this. So I'm excited about that. But this only has the soil that was in the pot that I got it in. And I don't usually do that because a lot of times that soil is just not really good for growing indoors. But this one I did it with, and so far so good. It's a little bit too wet. I'm gonna have to dry out the bottom. You see there's like water at the bottom. They don't really like to be sitting in wet medium. Water is another thing. Some of them do great in water, but in wet medium, they don't really enjoy that. So yeah, so that's that. I just love how these pups are going nuts. So yeah, you'll probably see more of this soon. Moving on. Here we have a Haworthia. Oh, I can't remember what the name of this is, but this is like, sometimes they call it alien eggs, I think. This is Haworthia. Is it truncata or Haworthia? I can't remember, but you can see it's got like a little little trunk on it. Let me take it out of here so you can see. It's got like a little trunk, and you can see the roots coming off the trunk that are starting to make their way down to the root ball. You can see their roots coming out of here too. I'm telling you, they love being wrapped in moss. And I love how the outer ones, the outer leaves that have been hit by direct sun are darker. They're like a brownish red or maroon. And the inner leaves that haven't gotten hit by the sun are green and like translucent. Such a really, really cool plant. I just love it. And this could be a thumbnail right here. Actually, I may take a still of this to make a thumbnail. Let's see, how do I do that? Maybe like this. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, really, really cool. Haworthia, I'm telling you, there's so many really cool varieties. And what I've been learning and what I hear in other videos and on the internet is that these plants come from arid areas in like Africa. And those windows are there because a lot of times the whole plant is like submerged in the sand. And those windows can allow the light in for photosynthesis into the rest of the plant that would potentially be under the sand. So that's really, really cool. And those windows are beautiful. If I bring it up to the light, you'll see what I'm talking about, maybe. But anyway, yeah, really, really cool. I love my Haworthia. Okay, I'm putting this one away now. Moving on, this was an import. This is a variegated Haworthia. I think it's a Haworthia truncata of some type, some hybrid of a truncata. I just think this is phenomenal. And I love that the variegation is pretty stable. Like a lot of times with these Haworthia, you get one side of the plant that's completely variegated and the other side that's completely green. This one, even though this side over here has a lot of variegation, like it's all cream colored, there's striping of green throughout most of the plant. And I kind of feel better about that because I don't think it's gonna revert anytime soon. But just get a load of this plant. Look at the structure, look at the coloring, the growth pattern. I love this plant. I love this plant. I'm probably gonna get more of these. I've been looking for some more variegated Haworthia, and they're very pricey. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're very pricey, but I think it's worth it as long as it's not too crazy, because I have a limit as far as how much I'd spend per plant. I'm not gonna tell you what that is, but I do have a limit. I won't spend a lot of money on plants. I always find ways to get them cheaper or get discounts or on clearance, whatever. But just get a load of this beautiful plant. And I love that they stay, for the most part, they stay small until they start multiplying with pups. Just get a load of this. Look at this plant. It is phenomenal. It's really beautiful. So that is living in turfus. So it's just the calcined clay, nothing else. And I'm probably gonna move this out of here into some moss, only because, it's a long story, but in order for the turfus to not fall through the drainage holes, I had to put one little piece of paper towel, like a little square of paper towel. The only problem with that is a lot of times the paper towel prevents water from draining quickly, and it can keep too much moisture in the pot. And I've seen a lot of the bottom roots of my Haworthia, when I had them in the calcined clay, the roots would start to rot off and die. And I don't like that. So I'm probably gonna take this one out, put it in a smaller pot of moss, and that way the moss will hold moisture for a period of time, but will dry out relatively quickly. It won't promote any root rot, as long as I don't keep it sopping wet. And a lot of them do really well that way. So, but I just love this plant. It's phenomenal. I'm gonna get more, and I'm gonna do a video on more of them, okay? You have no choice, you gotta watch. Kidding. Okay, next up and last up for the plants I wanna show you progress with. You may remember this one from when I did a video creating Cocama, and I called them Cocama, but it's really just a moss wrap with a yarn tie. So if you see this one has been in the moss with the yarn wrap ever since I did that video, which was a while ago. So it has some growth, it's grown. Those pups have been growing as well. This one was also forgotten about because all my Haworthia I kept in a tray, or in a couple of trays because I have a bunch, and I put them under the grow light, and they're in an area that I don't water very often because I'm like, they're succulents, they're Haworthia, they'll survive anything. Well, that's not true, they won't survive anything, but these guys survived, and they're thriving again because I'm regularly watering them, because I'm being a good plant daddy. And you can see there's some new growth with the light green as of very recently, and it gets, like the other plants, it gets darker when it's closer to the light. This looks almost like I want to say a fairy washboard, but I don't think that's the type of Haworthia this is. I don't know because it didn't come with a tag. Some of you might know what this is, but it's just a really cool looking plant, and I love how it's kind of crawling out of the pot. So I'm not going to cut it anytime soon. I'm going to just let it do its thing and become like a trailing snake creature thing, because I always love those. But yeah, the last thing I'm going to show you is it's not for any update purposes. I just want to show you because I love it. It's beautiful. It's my pink stripe, one of my pink stripe variegated purple heart plants, Tradescantia pallida, because you know I love the pallidas. I have them all over the place here, all different varieties. I just love this plant, especially when it gets the amount of sun it's been getting. It just is a beautiful, beautiful coloring. This has been in water culture for a while now, and we've got lots of rootage going on. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of this plant. So no update to show you, but I just want to show you how it's thriving in water. And this is one of those offshoots that has a lot of variegation, and I'm still working on it. Like, I took a couple of these that had pure white leaves, right, or pink in the light, and I have them growing separately to see if they can survive on their own with very little chlorophyll. Well, they almost died. They're coming back, so they're very, very sensitive, and I don't think that they would become a thing in the plant community because they are so sensitive, because there's very little chlorophyll. But I still think they're so beautiful, and I wish I could have a whole plant of just this much variegation. But this is beautiful too, so I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Like, I just love them all. I love this whole plant. Anyway, I think that's enough. I've talked enough. My mouth is getting tired and my throat's getting dry. So if you have any questions on any of these plants, excuse me, reach out. We will discuss. If you want a tutorial on how to create the moss wraps, I have a video on that. I can direct you to that as well. But yeah, let's talk plants, guys. You know I love to. And if you have bromeliads, I'd love to know how you're growing them. If you're growing them indoors, because I know a lot of people grow them outdoors. It's typically what people do in warm climates. But if you're growing them indoors, I'd love to hear what you got and how they're doing. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. And I will see you in the next video.